Partition designs for modern interiors. Types, materials, ideas and how to choose the right one. Have you ever walked into a beautiful home and felt that something was missing? The spaces are large, the furniture is beautiful, the lighting is perfect, but somehow the rooms don't feel properly defined. This is exactly where partitions come in. A partition can completely transform the way a space looks and functions without actually making it feel closed or cramped. It can separate your living room from your dining area, create privacy in a bedroom, divide an entrance from the main living space, or even create a small home office, all without building a traditional wall. Welcome to Everyday Interiors TV channel. In today's video, we are talking about one of the most versatile elements in interior design, partitions. We will understand why partitions are needed, the different types available, the materials you can choose from, where to use them, and how to select the right partition for your home. Let's start with the most important question: why do we actually need partitions? The biggest advantage of a partition is that it helps define spaces. Modern homes often follow an open plan layout where the living, dining, kitchen and entrance areas flow into one another. While this creates a spacious feeling, it can sometimes make different functions visually overlap. A partition gives each area its own identity while maintaining a sense of openness. Partitions are also useful when you want privacy without completely blocking light. For example, if your main entrance opens directly into the living room, a decorative partition can create a beautiful transition area. Similarly, between a living room and dining area, a semi-open partition can provide separation while keeping both spaces visually connected. Another reason partitions are popular is flexibility. Unlike a permanent brick wall, many partition designs can be lighter, more decorative and sometimes even movable. This makes them particularly useful in apartments, rental homes and modern residences where you want to change the layout without major construction. Now let's look at the different types of partitions. One of the most popular options is the wooden partition. Wooden partitions can range from simple vertical slats to intricate geometric screens. Vertical wooden battens are particularly effective because they visually divide a space while allowing light and air to pass through. They also add warmth and texture to contemporary interiors. If you want something more luxurious and decorative, you can consider a metal partition. Metal can be used in laser-cut panels, geometric screens, black-framed partitions or even brass-finished decorative elements. Metal partitions work particularly well in modern, contemporary and industrial interiors. Another beautiful option is the glass partition. Clear glass is ideal when you want separation without visually reducing the size of the room. Frosted or fluted glass can provide additional privacy while still allowing light to pass through. Black-framed glass partitions are especially popular for modern homes and can create a sophisticated architectural look. Then we have fluted glass partitions, which deserve special attention. The vertical texture of fluted glass adds depth and creates a beautiful play of light and shadow. It is a great choice for entrances, living dining divisions and bedroom areas where you need some privacy but don't want a completely opaque surface. For a softer and more decorative appearance, you can choose a fabric or curtain partition. These are particularly useful for bedrooms, dressing areas and flexible spaces. Curtains are easy to change and can introduce color, texture and softness into an interior. Another option is a stone or marble partition. These are more substantial and work beautifully when you want the partition itself to become an architectural feature. A marble screen with carefully designed cutouts can become a statement element in a luxury living room or entrance area. For a more traditional or artistic interior, Jali partitions are an excellent choice. Jali designs can be made using wood, MDF, metal, stone or other materials. They create beautiful patterns of light and shadow and can add a strong cultural or architectural character to the space. And if you're looking for something functional as well as decorative, consider storage partitions. Instead of simply dividing the room, the partition can include open shelves, cabinets or display niches. This allows one element to perform two functions, separating the spaces while also providing storage or display space. Now let's talk about materials, because the material you select can completely change the personality of your partition. For wooden partitions, you can use natural wood, veneer, plywood with laminate or MDF depending on the design and budget. Natural wood provides warmth and richness, while veneer gives you the appearance of real wood with more flexibility and finish. For glass partitions, options include clear glass, frosted glass, fluted glass, tinted glass and textured glass. The right choice depends on how much privacy and light transmission you need. For metal partitions, materials such as mild steel, stainless steel, aluminium or brass finished elements can be considered depending on the design. Powder-coated metal can give a clean contemporary appearance, while brass or antique finishes can make the partition feel more luxurious. MDF and plywood are also widely used when creating CNC cut or decorative partition designs. These materials allow designers to create intricate patterns, geometric shapes and customized screens. Now let's discuss where you can use partitions in your home. The entrance is one of the best locations. If your main door opens directly into the living room, a partition can create a small foyer and provide a sense of privacy when someone enters the house. The living and dining area is another common application. Instead of completely separating these two spaces, you can introduce a semi-open partition that visually connects them while giving each area its own identity. Partitions can also be used between the kitchen and dining area. Glass, metal or wooden screens can provide some separation without making the kitchen feel completely enclosed. In bedrooms, partitions can be used to separate the sleeping area from a dressing zone, study corner or bathroom entrance. Here, privacy becomes more important, so opaque or semi-opaque materials can work better. You can also use partitions for a home office. If you don't have a separate room, a glass or slatted partition can create a dedicated workspace without sacrificing the openness of the room. Now comes the most important part. How do you choose the right partition? Start with the purpose. Ask yourself, do I need privacy, visual separation, storage, decoration, or a combination of these? Next, consider natural light. If the space is already dark, avoid using a completely solid partition. Instead, choose glass, slats, screens or an open shelving system that allows light to travel through. Then consider ventilation. A partition should not unnecessarily block airflow, especially in open plan spaces. The scale of the partition is also extremely important. A partition that is too heavy can make a room feel smaller, while one that is too delicate may not create enough visual separation. You should also consider the overall interior style. A sleek black framed glass partition can work beautifully in a contemporary home, while a carved wooden or jali partition may be better suited to a more traditional or Indian-inspired interior. And don't forget maintenance. Glass requires regular cleaning, while intricate CNC patterns can collect dust. Natural wood may require more care depending on the finish. So choose a material that suits your lifestyle as well as your aesthetic. There are also a few common mistakes you should avoid. The first is making the partition completely solid when the room doesn't have enough natural light. The second is choosing an overly complicated design that competes with the rest of the interior. And the third is treating the partition as an isolated decorative object instead of integrating it with the architecture, furniture and lighting around it. A foyer partition can also be integrated with a console table, mirror, artwork, lighting, or storage. This creates a complete entrance composition instead of a standalone screen. In living rooms, partitions are often used between the seating and dining zones. The key is not to completely disconnect the spaces. A partially open partition can maintain continuity while giving each zone a defined identity. Vertical slats, open shelves, glass, or sculptural screens work particularly well here. Bedrooms require a slightly different approach. Privacy becomes more important, especially when a partition is being used between the sleeping area and a dressing zone. Fluted glass, wood panels, curtains, or a combination of solid and transparent sections can create a more intimate atmosphere. A partition can also be used behind the bed, particularly in larger bedrooms. Instead of placing the bed directly against a conventional wall, a decorative partition can create a layered backdrop. This approach works especially well when the partition incorporates lighting or a contrasting material. Bathrooms can also benefit from partitions. Glass shower screens are perhaps the most obvious example, but partitions can also separate the vanity from the bathing area or create a discrete transition between the bathroom and dressing area. In these spaces, moisture resistance and maintenance become particularly important, so material selection should always be based on actual bathroom conditions rather than appearance alone. Another area where partitions can make a huge difference is the staircase. A staircase partition can improve safety and privacy while also becoming an architectural feature. Vertical metal rods, wooden slats, glass panels, or sculptural screens can all be used depending on the overall design language of the home. For homes with a home office, partitions can help create a dedicated workspace without requiring a completely separate room. A glass partition is especially useful because it allows natural light to continue reaching the workspace. If more privacy is required, fluted or textured glass can be used instead. Now let's talk about one of the most important aspects: proportion. A beautiful partition can still look wrong if it is not correctly proportioned for the room. Before selecting a design, consider the height, width, ceiling height, furniture placement, circulation, and amount of natural light. A full-height partition can create a strong architectural effect, but in a smaller room it may make the space feel enclosed. On the other hand, a low or partially open partition may provide just enough separation without compromising spaciousness. Lighting is another factor that should never be overlooked. A partition can look completely different during the day and at night. Integrated LED lighting, concealed strip lighting, backlighting, or carefully positioned spotlights can highlight textures and patterns. However, lighting should enhance the material rather than make the partition look overly decorative. One of the biggest mistakes people make is choosing a partition simply because the design looks beautiful in a photograph. Every home has different proportions, lighting conditions, furniture layouts, and functional requirements. A partition that works perfectly in a large luxury residence may look overwhelming in a compact apartment. Another common mistake is using too many materials together. If your room already contains marble, wood, metal, textured walls, decorative lighting, and patterned furniture, adding an extremely elaborate partition may make the interior feel visually crowded. Sometimes the most luxurious solution is actually the simplest one. The third mistake is ignoring circulation. A partition should never interfere with the natural movement through the room. Always consider where people walk, where doors open, how furniture is accessed, and whether the partition creates an unnecessary obstruction. The fourth mistake is forgetting maintenance. Open shelves collect dust, highly textured surfaces require more cleaning, and certain materials may not be suitable for humid areas. Before selecting a partition, think about how easy it will be to maintain 5 years from now, not just how impressive it looks on the day it is installed. And finally, avoid treating every partition as a purely decorative element. The best partitions solve a real design problem. They can provide privacy, divide functions, control visibility, create storage, improve circulation, or simply establish a visual focal point. So, which partition should you choose? If you want warmth, choose wood. If you want openness, consider clear glass. If you want privacy with natural light, fluted or textured glass can be a great option. If you want an artistic statement, explore Jali or laser-cut screens. If you want luxury and architectural impact, consider stone or a combination of stone with glass or metal. If flexibility is your priority, curtains are an excellent choice. And if functionality is important, an open shelving or storage partition can give you the best of both worlds. The most beautiful partition is not necessarily the most expensive or elaborate one. It is the one that fits naturally into the architecture of the home, complements the furniture and finishes, serves a practical purpose, and makes the entire space feel more intentional. Before we end, here's a quick design challenge for you. Imagine you have a large open-plan living and dining area and you want to create separation without making the room feel smaller. Would you choose a completely solid wall, an open wooden slat partition, or a clear glass partition? Think about your answer, because the correct choice depends on how much privacy, light, and visual connection you want. If you enjoyed this video and found these partition ideas useful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Everyday Interiors TV, and turn on the notification bell for more interior design inspiration. We bring you practical ideas, design concepts, materials, finishes, and styling inspiration to help you create a home that feels beautiful, functional, and timeless. And that brings us to the end of our journey through modern partition designs for the home. As we've seen throughout this video, a partition is so much more than just a way to divide one space from another. When thoughtfully designed, it can completely change the character of a room. It can create privacy without making a space feel closed, define different zones within an open-plan home, introduce texture and warmth, provide additional functionality, and sometimes even become one of the most beautiful architectural features of the entire interior. Whether you prefer the warmth of natural wood, the elegance of fluted glass, the sophistication of metal, the richness of stone, the artistic character of a jarly screen, or the flexibility of curtains, there are countless ways to create separation while maintaining the openness and flow of your home. The important thing is to remember that there is no single partition design that works for every home. The right choice depends on your room size, ceiling height, natural light, furniture layout, privacy requirements, maintenance needs, and, most importantly, the overall design language of your space. If your interiors are minimal and understated, a simple linear partition may be enough to add definition. If your home has a more luxurious and dramatic aesthetic, you can explore layered materials, statement screens, stone, glass, metal detailing, or integrated lighting. And if functionality is your priority, a partition can also double up as storage, a bookshelf, a display unit, a foyer console, or even a workspace divider. So before selecting a partition simply because you like how it looks in a photograph, take a moment to understand what your space actually needs. Ask yourself, do I need privacy? Do I need more natural light? Do I want the spaces to feel connected? Do I need storage? Or am I simply looking for an architectural element that adds character? Once you know the answer, choosing the right design becomes much easier. And if you're currently designing your home, I hope this video has given you some inspiration and also helped you look at partitions from a slightly different perspective. Sometimes, one carefully designed element can make a much bigger impact than adding several decorative pieces throughout the room. Now I would love to know your choice. Which partition would you personally choose for your home? A warm wooden slat partition, an elegant fluted glass design, a luxurious stone screen, a decorative jarly, or something completely different? Let us know in the comments. Your choice might even inspire the topic of one of our future videos. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Everyday Interiors TV. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We regularly explore interior design ideas, luxury homes, furniture, materials, finishes, lighting, room designs, and practical ways to make your spaces look more refined and thoughtfully designed. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. And if you're planning a home renovation or simply collecting ideas for your dream home, save this video and come back to it when you're making your material and design selections. Sometimes the smallest details, the spacing between slats, the texture of glass, the finish of a metal frame, the proportion of a screen, or even the way lighting falls across a surface, can make the difference between a partition that simply divides a room and one that truly elevates the entire interior. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with us here at Everyday Interiors TV. Keep exploring, keep designing, and most importantly, choose designs that are not only beautiful today but continue to feel right for your home for years to come. I'll see you in the next video with another beautiful interior design topic. Until then, stay inspired and keep creating spaces that feel uniquely yours.